Okay. My window's actually open. I don't know if you can hear anything coming out of it, but I know in my last video you could hear it because I was right by it and I moved. I'm also on my bed right now, but it's laundry day, so there's nothing really on it. So I'm just gonna pray you can't see my bed. Okay, so I don't really know if I had a retrograde moment. I heard, according to TikTok, that retrograde, at least this one for June and July, only truly affects mostly Cancer and Libra. And I hate to break it to you guys, I am a Cancer. So I was like, you know, I think I did have my retrograde because I did come back from vacation earlier. Um, last month, this month we're still in July. And I did kind of find out some weird information that I wish I didn't really that I wish I knew before, but also kind of like scared me in a way. So recently I came back from vacation. I'm gonna close my laptop. We don't need this stuff anymore, right? Recently I came back from vacation and I found out some interesting news that kind of sent me into a frenzy for a little bit. Like I got super scared and it's completely normal. Like it's a normal thing to have. Like anybody can have it. I feel like, oh, my phone's showing that this is not lining up straight. It's okay. You guys are on a tripod on a box because I'm filming on my bed. But yeah, I ended up going to the hospital when I was on vacation, which is very, very unfortunate. And I found out some news that made me super duper upset. So I'm going to tell it now. Me when I don't know how to tell a story. But yeah, so recently I went on vacation and let's just say I got really, really sick. And I went on during this vacation. Actually, I was supposed to go to my cousin's wedding. I actually did end up going to her wedding, but I think this was like right before her wedding. I ended up getting really, really sick. So it was like at nighttime around like 2 or 3 a.m. I got like a stomach ache. It was this really, really like sharp pain in like my lower like abdomen or lower belly. And I didn't know what it was. And I've never ever had pain there before, like ever. So I started panicking. Like I was like kind of freaked out. And my mom was in the room. I woke her up. I told her I was sick. And we ended up going to the hospital. Now, I will say is that we did go to the hospital because in Ghana, because I went to Ghana. And first of all, I want to say is the Ghana healthcare system. I just want to say you guys could just make me pay last minute. Like we don't have to do the go to the doctor, pay, go get a lab test, pay, go do this, pay. Like just make me pay at the end. Like I rather get the paycheck at the end, but I don't know. But basically what happened was is we ended up going to the hospital and we had to wake up everyone. We had to wake up my mom, we had to wake up my uncle. I think that was it. I think my aunt woke up and my cousin woke up, but they didn't really come with. So we went to the hospital. I forgot what hospital we went to, but we went to the hospital over there and I had to do let's just say it was a long, long, long trip because I think we got there at like 4 or 5 a.m. and we left around 1 or 2 p.m. So, yeah, that was that was long. This was also like the first time I've ever been to the hospital. Like I've never been to the hospital before. I think I'm like the only person in my family who has never had a reason to go to the doctor other than like checkups and stuff, you know. But yeah, so so what happens is I end up going, I'm in this hospital for like hours. And between like the hours of like waiting, um, first thing you do is you go see a doctor and the doctor then sends you to the lab. Well, actually, it was more like you sign in, or like I don't know, you go to like the register, whatever. You go to the doctor, but you have to wait in a line, and then I'm trying to remember because this was like a while ago. You wait in a line, the doctor talks to you, whatever, sends you to the lab, you go to the lab, but before you go to the lab, you gotta pay, right? This was pretty annoying. You go to the lab, you sit down, you wait in a line to be able to do a lab test, and you finally do the lab test. I had to do a blood test, and then I had to do a urine and a stool. Great. Then after that, you go back, you pay again. I think you sit there and you wait, and then they tell you whether you could like. They tell you what you do next. We waited for them. We had to go back to the doctor again. Sat there, whatever. Waited. After we went to the doctor again, we finally got to him. I think then after that, I'm trying to remember because this was like a while ago. Um, we got to the doctor, And then he sent me back because he was just like, oh, I'm seeing something about your white blood cells. You gotta do like another test. I can't remember what other test I did. I did a blood test. No, I think I did the blood test and then he made me go back and do a stool and a urine. But yeah. And then after that, you do the test, you pay again. And then after that, you go to the doctor. So yeah, so that was basically my doctor's appointment. Just for me to find out in the end that I had a UTI, which was insanity, right? A crazy ass UTI. And I think at first he told me that my white blood cells were the ones that were super high. And then after that, I went again, found out that I had a UTI, whatever. Now, I want you to pay attention to the fact that I had a UTI just for me to come back from my vacation. So, right now, I'm currently home, finding out that I no longer have a UTI. That doesn't exist anymore. That's actually gone. Like it just magically disappeared on its own. I don't know. Maybe it's possible. Maybe it's normal. A UTI is super normal to have. And I'm not gonna lie, I was a little irritated. I was a little annoyed. I was a little confused because I'm not gonna lie, like I I don't know how I would get that. I don't really hold in my pee. I don't really um I always go to the washroom when I'm supposed to. I don't sit on public toilets. Like we don't do that. In fact, if anything, like I tried to avoid those things as possible. So I was very confused to how I got it. And I was like so upset about it because it's like, imagine like having something you don't even know how you got it. You just have it. Whatever. So, anyways, I found out I have a UTI. Boom. So I get home from my vacation and I remember I had them print out my lab test, right? And I come home from my vacation, call my family doctor, she books me an appointment, and I give her the lab test. Once I get to the appointment, I give her my lab test. And she tells me that there's really nothing on the lab test. Like they wouldn't, like, I don't know how to explain it, but instead of writing it fully out like as white blood cells, they wrote it as WBC. Like every single test you did was written in abbreviation. So she was just like, I don't know how to read this. Like I don't understand this paper. Also, the paper wasn't telling her anything. So I had to do another blood test, right? I did another blood test. They took 2 rounds of blood out of me. I'm sorry, I have 15 minutes. Let's see if I make it in 15 minutes. They took 2 rounds of blood out of me, had me do a urine test because I told her that they said I had a UTI. And no, I didn't let them like give me medicine or anything because I had a family doctor at home. Like I wasn't, and I was in another country, so I was like, I'm not. We're just gonna trust the family doctor. So they did that, and then I also did an ultrasound for like an ultrasound, and then we also did pelvic ultrasound. Cool, right? So I had to wait, I believe, I think a week or two, whatever. Let's call back into the family doctor. And this is the part that doesn't make any sense to me. Now, I don't know if Mercury retrograde is like a good thing or a bad thing, but this was super confusing to me because when I went to the doctor's appointment, she did ask me if I was like feeling any pain sensation, you know what I mean, if you ever heard of a UTI and the type of pain you could get. And I told her no, just to get the pain like a few days after the first doctor's appointment, right before the ultrasound, and then finding out I felt the same pain months ago. But I didn't really ignore it. I completely forgot about it because it was exam. Okay, hi. So it turns out my phone storage is full. So I'm filming on my laptop again. I'm starting to think I should only be filming videos on my laptop. But anyways, as I was saying, yeah, it was super confusing because, that's when I realized that I had felt the pain before. And I was like, damn. So I had a UTI for like months and I just didn't know that, which I guess it made a lot of sense because, the next part of the story is kind of random. But anyways, I think a week or two had like gone by, and I don't know, I said this in the last clip, but a week or two had gone by, and I find out that I no longer have a UTI. She calls me in, but my family doctor calls me in, and she's talking to me about the results. And she's telling me, like, you're good here, you're good there. I always knew I was low on iron, but she told me my iron had actually improved, so yay. She's like, the only thing that she had to say was your vitamin D level was low, which is pretty weird, but I guess that makes sense because when I went on vacation, I thought I had to stop taking vitamin D vitamins because I went to Africa and you technically get vitamin D for free. So, but yeah, it was vitamin D. She told me that maybe collagen would be a good idea, which is like funny because my skin is like I'm not low on collagen. She just told me to just get on it because like I'm 20 now, so I should just get on collagen. And then she just told me to like, my iron levels are not that low. They're improving, but to take iron. But it was kind of weird because listen, she told me that there was nothing wrong with me, which I'm pretty sure a lot of doctors might say if they see nothing wrong with you. But then I started looking it up and I was like, there's so many illnesses that you can't see on a blood test and so many illnesses that you can't see like on an x-ray. Oh, I forgot to mention this. I also did an x-ray. They did an x-ray on me too. And you cannot see certain things on there. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying that's kind of weird. But as of right now, I'm a little bit concerned. She did tell me, I forgot what she said. She said there was like some tiny little thing that she was seeing on like the left side of, I don't remember if she said kidney or liver or intestine. I don't know. I don't remember what she said, to be realistically honest. But she just told me to come back in like, what's it called? Like in January for another test. I don't know. Not for another test, but like, what's it called? What did she say? Oh, come back in January for another ultrasound. So I'll be doing that. And I'm gonna pray there's nothing wrong with me. I'm actually very happy that there's nothing wrong with me, but I was scared, especially because I did a test in another country that I don't live in. And they did tell me I had a UTI, and I don't know why I treated it like it was the end of the world. Now, the funny thing is, I don't know if I had the UTI then and then it disappeared in like the 3 days of me coming back to the country. I don't know if that's possible, but that's insane. Mind you, I only went there because I needed medication for a stomach ache, and apparently in Africa they do the whole shebang on you, which thank God for, but that was a lot. So yeah, that's kind of it for like right now. I don't really know if that has anything to do with Mercury retrograde. I was just watching like a bunch of TikToks and I've seen videos of people talking about it and weird things that would happen to them, and I was like, I don't know if like this is considered a weird thing. I don't know, but that's how my Mercury retrograde season went for me as a Cancer. And let's just pray nothing bad comes out of it.